From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Rob Westgate. With a virtual G7 meeting slated to start Monday, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau reached out ahead to U.S. President Donald Trump to talk about the war in Ukraine. Now, earlier this week, Trudeau told reporters that Ukraine must have a seat at the table in any talks on ending hostilities ignited by Russia's full-scale invasion 3 years ago. Following the chat, the White House said that both leaders hope to see an end to Russia's invasion, while adding that the war, quote, should never have started and would not have had Trump been president at the time. Meantime, negotiations between the U.S. and Ukraine continue to find a way to end the war with Russia. The Trump administration is demanding access to Ukraine's valuable natural resources as payment for the military aid that has already been supplied. The U.S. has sent an estimated $119 billion to aid the war effort since 2022. Now, Trump is asking for 5 times that amount in repayment. So far, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has refused, saying no security guarantees are attached to the deal. Many Ukrainians are calling the U.S. move outright extortion. Now back over to U.S. President Donald Trump, who is praising Elon Musk's efforts to slash the size of the U.S. federal government, saying that he wanted Musk to be even more aggressive. Reporter Selena Wang is in Washington.
President Trump taking a victory lap, touting his federal firing spree to a crowd of supporters gathered at the Conservative Political Action Conference.
I've ended all of the so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion programs across the entire federal government.
Praising Elon Musk's campaign to slash government spending, an ongoing purge eliminating thousands of jobs across more than a dozen federal agencies.
In his latest order, Musk has given all federal workers 48 hours to explain what they did last week, writing on his social media platform X that not responding would be taken as a resignation. Back home now, Ottawa is compensating 14 different First Nations in Saskatchewan to the tune of $1.72 billion for long-standing claims. The payouts are meant to address failed treaty promises that would have provided First Nations with plows, seeds, livestock, and other farming tools needed for economic development. Chief Mark Fox of the Piapot First Nation says this settlement will help in many ways, socially, economically, and environmentally. And finally, the 31st Screen Actors Guild Awards is set for tonight, and it should offer the final clue in an unusually unpredictable Oscar race. After wins from the Producers Guild and the Directors Guild, and last night the Independent Spirit Awards, Sean Baker's Honora is seen as the favorite to win Best Picture in a week's time at the Oscars.
Girls and I have been talking, and if your cousin doesn't start showing us some respect, we're not going to tip out anymore.
All right, yeah. I'll talk to him.
The hardware starts getting handed out at 8 p.m. Eastern Time tonight on Netflix. This is the Canadian Press. In sports, the NHL was back to regular season action. Pontus Holmberg had 2 goals and an assist as the Toronto Maple Leafs beat the visiting Carolina Hurricanes 6-3. Meanwhile, in Ottawa, Brendan Gallagher had a goal and an assist as the visiting Montreal Canadiens topped the Senators 5-2. Gabriel Velarde scored twice for the Winnipeg Jets' 4-3 shootout win over the Blues in St. Louis. The Vancouver Canucks were on the wrong side of a 3-1 final, losing to the Vegas Golden Knights. And the Flyers doubled up the Edmonton Oilers 6-3 in Philly. Team Canada skip Rachel Homan punched her ticket to the championship final at the Scotties Tournament of Hearts with an 8-4 victory over Carrie Einarson's Manitoba crew. The undefeated Homan will await the winner of the next semifinal showdown between Einarson and Christina Black of Nova Scotia. And finally, the Canadian women fell behind early and saw their hopes of a podium finish vanish after a 34-12 loss to rugby powerhouse New Zealand at the HSBC Sevens Vancouver. From the Canadian Press, I'm Rob Westgate.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.